Okay, Chair, so we're just about to go live now. Okay, you can start the meeting. Oh, sorry, Chair, you're on mute.
Right, okay, you hear me now? Yep, okay. Right. So, good afternoon and welcome to East Devon District Council's virtual Arts and Culture meeting on 12th of June 2024. I'm your I'm your chair, Councillor Nick Hookway, and I would also like to welcome anybody watching the meeting via live streaming. The meeting can be viewed online and will be recorded. Please bear this in mind throughout the meeting. Therefore, may I remind you to be careful with their language and that the code of conduct applies throughout our meeting. We reserve the right to remove and disconnect by any participant disrupting the meeting by whatever means. Please turn off telephone devices or put them to silent, please. Right, okay. As this is an Arts and Culture Forum meeting is dependent upon an internet connection and a power supply, in the event of a break in the internet connection or power cut, please bear with us as we try to reconnect. After 15 minutes, if we're not able to reconnect, we will consider the meeting adjourned and reconvene at a later date. Please check the committee pages on our website for details. Please make sure that all microphones are muted when you are not speaking to avoid any background noises. Keep points short and do not repeat points that have already been made, and do not interrupt. If you wish to comment, please raise your electronic hand and wait to be called. All councillors have been set the agenda for today's meeting. Any members of the public who want to view the agenda can do so by visiting our website at www.eastdevon.gov.uk. We will now start the meeting by doing a roll call of committee members here present. Can you now please unmute your microphone, and when you hear your name, please confirm by saying present. When you've confirmed you're present, please mute your microphone again, please. Thank you, Althea.
Okay, so I've got apologies from Councillor Whibley. So Councillor Barlow?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Brown? Councillor Brown, are you present? Councillor Buchan?
Present.
Okay. Councillor Bull? Councillor Davey?
Present.
Councillor Dorbar? Councillor Fernley?
Present.
Councillor Hookway?
Present, thank you.
Councillor Johns? Councillor Olive? Councillor Mendham? And Councillor Sneller. So I think Councillor Dorbar has just joined the meeting. We can confirm who's here. Oh, you're on mute at the moment.
Hello.
This is Councillor
Bull.
Hello. I'm present at Councillor Bull.
So is this Jenny?
It is not very good on the
Okay.
technology side of
Yeah,
things.
that's all right. I'll rename you. Okay, so Chair, we are quorate. Okay.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. Right, thank you. So, moving on to agenda item 1, public speaking. There are no members of the public wishing to speak. So, agenda item 2, appointment of vice chair for the Arts and Culture Forum. So, although I am a vice chair carrying the meeting because the chair can't be here, our rules of our constitution mean that we have to nominate a vice chair for the following year. Right. So, therefore, I would like to invite nominations from the forum for the position of vice chair. Do we see any hands up, please? Come on, don't be shy.
What does it involve?
Well, really doing what I'm doing today, because Councillor Whibley, through work commitments, was unable to join us today and chair the meeting. So the role of the vice chair is to step in under those circumstances and take the meeting over. I mean, chair is taken ill during the meeting, the vice chair takes over. So it's to make sure that we always have a chair for our meeting. That's a legal, constitutional requirement. So do we have any nominations, please? I don't see anybody. Somebody.
I'll propose Councillor Jeffries. I haven't asked him.
I was going to do the same.
Will you? Oh, fine.
Right, is that so? That's a proposal from Councillor Davis. Is that a seconding from Councillor Fernley?
Yep.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Councillor Jeffries, are you happy to accept the nomination? Because if you are, or anybody who's elected vice chair will then take over the meeting from me. So you need to understand that. So are you happy to accept the nomination?
I wasn't on the roll call of the members of this forum.
No,
Does
no. Does that matter? Alethea, do they have?
Yeah, so he would need to be a member of the forum.
Okay, so in that case, we can't accept his nomination. Right. So,
but is that going to change shortly? With the changes of those persons on different forums. Was that one of the ones that was?
So that will be looked at your next council meeting, but at present, the membership is as it stood before annual council. So if you weren't on this forum before then, you're not at the moment.
No, but if it had changed at full council,
Yeah.
it would be the new forum.
Yeah.
Can we put this process off until the next meeting?
No, we can't.
No.
We have to vote a vice chairman in that. That is part of the constitution. So we must have a nomination from the committee. I should have said that more clearly, shouldn't I? Okay, so
Looks like you, Nick.
well, I haven't been nominated, so somebody needs to nominate me, and then we need a seconder. Right, so it needs to be someone on the committee. Councillor Fernley. You're muted.
I will nominate if that's what's required.
Say that again, please.
I will nominate you if that's what's required.
Right, so that's a proposal. Are you seconding that, Councillor Davey?
I am, yes. I'm sorry, Nick. I thought you were the chair, but of course it's normally Joe, isn't it?
That's right, it's normally Joe.
That's right.
So,
And
okay.
as your portfolio holder for arts and culture and many other things besides, it seems a sensible choice.
Okay, right. So, Alethea, do you want to take us to the vote, please?
Okay, so can I have everybody raising their hands for Councillor Hookway as vice chair, please? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I had meant your electronic hands. It's just slightly easier to count, but but anyway, yes, I can see that that's carried. Okay.
Right. Okay, good. Okay. Right. Okay, thank you very much for that. It's just a small technical one, but it is important. Right, okay. So right, so then we go on to agenda item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. And if anyone has a comment on the set of minutes from the 8th of November 2023, please do this by raising your electronic hand. If no hands are raised, I will take this as an indication that all are happy and the minutes are accepted. Right, so I do not see any hands raised, and therefore those minutes are accepted. Thank you very much indeed. Right, so agenda item 4, apologies. Althea, can you just confirm the apologies, please?
Yep. So I've had Councillor Wibley, Councillor Gazzard, Councillor Sexton, who's the Honiton Town Council substitute, Victoria Harding from Museum Development Southwest, and I've had Councillor Paul Arnott. I don't know if there's any other apologies.
I've got Anna Arosi on the...
Oh yes, and Anna, yeah.
Okay, right. So thank you very much. Let's move on to agenda item 5, declarations of interest. Mindful of the new code of conduct, do any members of the forum have any declarations? Please state your declaration, including which agenda item your declaration relates to, what exactly your interest is, and the specific type of interest you are declaring. Right, so let's just quickly have a look through here. I don't think it applies to me. Are there any hands raised, Althea? Do we have any hands raised? No. Did anybody make any declarations?
No, not that I can see.
Right, okay, that's fine. Thank you very much indeed. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm a bit. Right, so we now go on to lost my place. Right. So agenda item 6, museum development of the Southwest. We're now going to receive a presentation from Jo Cairns, the Museums Development, from Museums Development Southwest. So over to you, Jo, and thank you.
Thanks, Nick. I'll just see if I can share my screen. Okay. Right, can everyone see my slides okay?
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Super, thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Jo Cairns. I'm the Museum Development Officer covering Devon Museums for Museum Development Southwest. I'm also really pleased to be the Museum and Heritage Champion for ACE, and I was at the fantastic network meeting that they held yesterday at Seaton. But I'm here to talk about the work that I and Museum Development Southwest do with the museums in East Devon. I also want to give apologies from Vic Harding, our programme manager, who normally provides this presentation. She's unfortunately had to be at another meeting today. So I thought I would start off with giving you some background on the Southwest region's museums, and these statistics are provided by our annual museum survey. So 67% of our Southwest museums are independent charities, and that is compared to 58% of the national museums. 57% are classed as micro, so that's fewer than 10,000 visitors annually, and that again is compared to 46% nationally. Our visit numbers in the Southwest are still down. That's 8% down in the Southwest on pre-pandemic levels. However, it's not as bad a picture as nationally, which is 18% down on visitor numbers. 42% of our museums in the Southwest are wholly volunteer run, and that compares to 31% nationally. And that then affects our 9 volunteers to every 1 paid member of staff in the Southwest. And that compares to 4 volunteers to every 1 paid member of staff nationally. And finally, 37% of our museums in the Southwest reported an annual turnover of less than 25,000 £25,000 in 2022 to 23, and that compares to 29% nationally. So as you can see, we have in the Southwest quite a picture of quite a few small museums that are independent charities, and largely volunteer run. So they do require that professional support from museum development. So who are Museum Development Southwest? We are a team of museum and heritage development specialists. So I'll just move that, working with the museum and heritage sector in the Southwest to effect positive, lasting change and deliver public value. We're also an Arts Council England funded investment principles support organisation, and we are one of 5 museum development providers across England. Just to add to this, you may have noticed that our name and branding has changed, and the number of museum development providers has reduced across the country from 9 to 5. This is as a result of changes required by Arts Council, so that our name and branding aligns with the other museum development providers. So it changed from Southwest Museum Development to Museum Development Southwest, so only a small change. But our Southwest area has also slightly enlarged to incorporate that reduction in the number of Arts Council regions and providers. So our Southwest area now encompasses Hampshire and Solent and the Isle of Wight. What are the key services that we provide? We provide local place-based museum development officers, and I'm obviously one of those. We also provide small grants, programs and funding support. We provide skills and training networks, and we provide specialist support in collections and volunteering, and that is delivered through Helena Jaski, who's our conservation and care specialist, and Eleanor Moore, our volunteering specialist. We also provide organisational development support, and that comes through me as the Museum Development Officer, and also through our organisational health check programme. And we provide technical accreditation support from Tim Burge, our technical accreditation advisor. We also provide communications, advocacy and resources, and we secure funding for projects. And one of those that we've secured recently was the Travelling Together National Lottery Heritage Fund project, which was an equity, diversity and inclusion project which we ran across the Southwest. And East Devon Museums took part in that through the peer network sessions which were offered as part of the project this year. So I think they ran from February to April this year. So over the past year, we have worked in partnership with East Devon District Council through funding provided by you through the Shared Prosperity Fund. This was built on the skills and expertise of the Museum Development Southwest team in conservation and collections care, heritage volunteering and learning and development. So far in 2024 to 25, we've worked with Sarah and ACE to offer the photographic collections project, and we hope to do a lot more over the coming year. The museums in East Devon that receive support from us are All Hallows Museum in Honiton, Sidmouth Museum, Fairlynch Museum and Arts Centre in Budleigh Salterton, and Axminster Heritage Centre. So these 4 museums are all accredited museums, and as such we receive funding from Arts Council England to support them. However, there are also 5 other museum and heritage organisations that are not yet accredited in East Devon, which we're able to support thanks to the funding from East Devon District Council. So these are Exmouth Museum, Seaton Museum, Ottery St Mary Heritage Museum, Wimpole Heritage Centre and the Southwest Airfield Heritage Trust. So this funding really allows us to include these museums in development opportunities. For example, Exmouth Museum's inclusion in our Volunteering Fit for the Future programme, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So in 2023 to 24, East Devon received a 300% return on its investment with us. The investment resulted in £4,685 worth of museum development officer support, technical accreditation support given to 2 museums, that was Sidmouth Museum as part of their accreditation return, and Wimpole Museum in terms of their governance in readiness to begin the accreditation process. £1,264 of specialist officer support was provided in collections and digital. 1 participant museum in Volunteering Fit for the Future, and I've just mentioned that as Exmouth Museum. There were only 10 places across the region, so this was a really big investment and great that Exmouth engaged with it. We had 18 training attendances to 13 training sessions from 3 museums in East Devon, and the topics included accreditation, governance, collections management and care, equality, diversity and inclusion, exhibitions, learning and volunteering. And finally, we had 1 museum that was awarded the On Display grant of £1,000, and that was Axminster Museum. And that brings me neatly on to some highlights from East Devon, and in particular Axminster's successful application to our On Display grant. This was a project to conserve the Thomas Whitty rug, which was a real treasure from their collection, and it enabled it to be displayed. It was previously not on display. This was a really great project, and I think it was one of only 8 successful grants across the region. On Display is open again for applications this year, and it closes in a few days. So I'm really hoping that some of the other East Devon museums take the lead from Axminster and apply, because it was just a brilliant example of a project. Another great example is Exmouth Museum, who took part in our Volunteering Fit for the Future programme, and they were one of only 10 places we had available across the Southwest. They just really embraced the project and just took such a lot from it. And I'd also really like to hold up Exmouth Museum as one to watch over the next few years, not just in East Devon, but across the museums that I work with in Devon as a whole. I've just been so impressed with their proactivity with this programme, and also with collections development and fundraising. They're really engaged at the moment. So I think they'll be really moving forward in the next year or two. So finally, if you'd like to find out more about the work that we do, please take a look at our prospectus, which covers 2024 to 26, and our annual review from last year. They're both available on our website. And finally, thank you for listening, and do get in touch if you have any questions. Thank you. Oh, I think I've got some questions.
Okay, I can't see. Can we just mute your?
Yeah,
your
I'll stop sharing and then
stop sharing. That's okay, right. So, do we have any questions from members of outside the key committee first? And let's just say I've got.
Yes, you've got Richard Jeffries there, Chair.
Yes. Okay. Right. Yes. Thank you very much indeed. So, right, Councillor Jeffries, off you go. Yes. You muted, Councillor Jeffries.
Apologies. It was a question about the volunteers and the ratio of one paid employee to 9 volunteers. Is that a time equivalent, or is that per person, as it were? Just putting a scale of volunteer activity.
I'm not sure on that one, I'm afraid. I'd have to ask Vic. She's our expert, and I'm sorry she's not here today, but I can get back to you with a response to that. Sure.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. Councillor Buchan, please.
Hello, thank you. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
You had a list of East Devon museums who benefit from your advice, which is fine. But we've got a few new towns coming through into East Devon. I'm a member representing Cranbrook, and there's going to be other new towns. We haven't got museums yet, but presumably we will have them in future. Would we be able to benefit from your advice and any secure grants and help setting up that sort of thing?
Yes, certainly. So I do, occasionally get put in touch with different heritage organisations, and I do provide advice to them. Sort of some of the ones that are just starting out, I probably haven't listed there because I might have just had initial sort of email contact from them, but we do provide support where we can. We have to prioritise our work to those accredited museums because they receive that funding from Arts Council, which enables us to prioritise those. But obviously, yes, if there's other museum and heritage organisations, we do offer that support, particularly in starting out and starting along that road to the accreditation process. So we had a great accreditation session recently from Tim Burge, which was funded through ACE, and he talked to a lot of the museum organisations that are not yet accredited about that eligibility process. So how you can apply to become accredited and what you need to have in place. So that's the work that I would do with those organisations.
Thank you. That's very useful to know, because we need to tap into areas of like speciality like yourself. But one other thing, that in question 8, it said about how many visitors have you reached this year at East Devon. There wasn't an answer to that one. As a benchmark, just roughly how many visitors in those museums in the last year?
Sorry, which
how many visitors, participants in East Devon have you reached this year? And I was just compared to last year. There wasn't I couldn't see, unless I can't see it and I've missed it. How many visitors visited the museums in the last year?
I don't have that statistic on me for East Devon museums. Do you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I can find that out for you from Vic, I'm sure.
Thank you very much. That's fine.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Buchan. You've raised a very, very interesting point about Cranbrook. I hadn't actually come round to thinking about a museum for Cranbrook, but nevertheless, considering that so much development work is going on there within the town centre, that is something that we do need to think about, and I will make officer stays when I mention it to them. So that'll be very interesting. So moving on to Councillor Davey, please, Ollie.
Thank you, Chair. Joe, thanks for that really interesting presentation, and it's great to hear about the work you're doing with museums, and I'm pleased to hear Exmouth is engaging so well. Could you say a bit more about technical accreditation, because I don't really know what that is? Could you sort of explain what the process is, who actually accredits museums, and what kind of opportunities does that then open up for them?
Sure, yes. So accreditation is a scheme run by Arts Council England, and it's basically ensuring that museums are adhering to the standards required for museums, so they're acting ethically and they're looking after their collections in the right way to a certain standard. And they you have to apply for accreditation. And then you submit an application, it goes through, and if you're accredited, you then have to submit a return every 5 years to Arts Council to show that you're still operating to that level that you've achieved once you've got it. The technical accreditation advice, which we get from Tim Burge, is really specifically about those museums who are applying to the scheme. They have to sort of adhere to a particular criteria, looking at whether their governance structure is correct and what Arts Council require, and also whether they fit the definition of a museum. So Tim would look at that for them and assess it, and also he assesses the eligibility questionnaires when they come through from Arts Council, and confirms whether museums are eligible to be accredited. Then some museums wouldn't be. So, for example, if it was a private collection that was owned by a private individual, that wouldn't fit the criteria of Arts Council. And I think you asked about the kind of benefits of accreditation. It really, if you're an accredited museum, it shows that you're working to that standard. It also opens up the opportunities for grants. So a lot of funding is only open to accredited museums. So yeah, there's lots of different benefits, and a lot of our funding also that we provide. So our grants program is only open to the accredited museums.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. So moving on to Councillor Dorbar.
Hello, thank you very much for that. Could you possibly send the PowerPoint? Will it be sent on to all of us?
Yes, certainly. I think Alethea has a copy of it, but yeah, I can.
Sure. I can send that on.
I'd be very grateful. Thank you. And who's this Mr. Burge you're talking about?
Tim is our technical accreditation advisor. So he's a freelance museum consultant as well. But he's working part-time for us as our advisor. So when the museums have questions about accreditation, generally I would answer them. But if there's anything very technical, we bring in his expertise.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you very much. So moving on to Councillor Fernley, Paula.
Thank you. Yes, very interesting. There's so much going on in the area. I don't know whether I need to declare this as a declaration of interest. My father volunteers at the Southwest Airfield Heritage Trust. I didn't know that EDC had anything to do with them, but I'll just let you know that. Going back to what, I forget which councillor mentioned, the Cranbrook issue. It's quite interesting that in Tithe Barn, we also have a huge amount of history that's been dug up as the houses have been built, lots of history that we're wanting to tie in with the Cliffs Valley Country Park and that website. So I don't know if there's anything we can bounce around with anybody at any point in time, because it's something we'd like to put on our website about the history that is going on in the Cliffs Valley area. So just to mention that. Thank you.
I think that's a very good point. Actually, we must bear that in mind for the future. Right, I'll speak to Sarah and Charlie about that later on. So another date. Right. Okay. So I don't see any more hands in place. I don't think there are any recommendations. I'm quite happy to note the report. Is anybody? Is that okay? Do we need to vote on that, Althea? No.
No, you don't. There's no recommendations there.
Okay,
But just in
right.
case any recommendations came up as a result, no. Okay.
Okay, right. So thank you very much indeed, Joe. That was a very interesting presentation. So that takes us on now to agenda item 7, Villages in Action. And we're going to receive a presentation from Mayor George, the Creative Director of Villages in Action. Thank you, Mayor.
Hello, everyone. Just get my slideshow working. I might have to do it in this slightly odd way, so do tell me if for any reason slides aren't kind of clear. So thanks for inviting me along to speak today. As Councillor Nick Hookway said, I'm Mara George, Creative Director of Villages in Action. So we are an arts charity working across rural Devon. We have a small team of 4 part-time workers, myself, 2 producers and a finance manager. As many of you will know, since 2021, we have embarked on a new journey at Villages in Action to shift the way that we think about rural touring in Devon. With our network of volunteer promoters and co-curators, we're reimagining the way that communities create and welcome in new work and the people who make it. Through our agriculture model, we aim to strengthen the voice of our towns and villages in both hosting and creating work that reflects our changing communities and the wider world. So agriculture is the way of thinking about rural touring differently. We're part of a collaborative network of partners and communities, and we're reimagining how and why our towns and villages engage with culture on their own doorsteps. We're opening up the way that our rural communities enjoy and grow new creative opportunities. We do this by growing our network of locally rooted co-curators who imagine and shape new creative projects with us, inspired by what their communities want and need. At its heart, our model is about making work together and making work happen together. Participatory activities, artist residencies, and creative skills opportunities run alongside invitations to host and see visiting performances. Our aim is that over time, this culturally driven action network will grow meaningful social and cultural capital within rural communities. You can see in this slide here, these are the kind of 4 main points of our work over the last year that I wanted to highlight. So we've hosted 25 high quality arts performances for 1,496 live audiences, 5 participatory wraparound activity sessions. Specifically in East Devon, we've delivered 3 village exchange intergenerational Skillshare projects. In Ottery St Mary, that focused on young people with music. We delivered 4 sessions there. In Honiton, we were working with older adults around reminiscence, and we delivered 6 sessions there. And in Membury, the project was around mixed ages, using heritage storytelling as a stimulus, and we delivered 3 sessions there. Through this Village Exchange project, there were 36 attendances by young people through targeted sessions. And through the project, as well as our wider programme, we've been able to develop deeper relationships with East Devon-based organisations and artists. That includes Trip Community Transport and Befriending, Honiton Health Matters, the Memory Cafe in Honiton, Honiton Carers, Honiton Shedders, Creative Beings, Libraries Unlimited, Devon Music Education Hub, Ottery Town Council, the King's School, the Space and Action East Devon, Membury Primary Academy, Stockland School and Stockland Parochial Parish Council. We've grown the scale of our Active Care Homes Commission, which I'm going to talk about in a little while, and we've produced over 12 high-quality digital works for use in care homes, engaging excluded participants. We're developing specialist digital production team and content, so that's working with older adults with dementia. We have also collaborated with our 44 co-curators in developing a responsive programme of activity, and we managed to arrange our first network gathering in person for the first time in 4 years. We've supported over 80 artists, including 8 open calls from Devon with Love scratch artists. So we support emerging artists or artists making work that's in progress, to invite audiences in to be a part of that process of creation and feedback. We've nurtured artists through the current fundraising resubmission cycle that I'm sure people are aware is very competitive at the moment with Arts Council England, and response rates are significantly lower than they were even just a year ago. We've developed a new relationship with the University of Exeter Drama Department, focusing on graduate retention in the Southwest and in Devon in particular. And we've completed 2 ripple effect mapping cycles. These are deep dives, so this is our evaluation process that enables us to gather qualitative data alongside the traditional audience and artist surveys, as well as environmental monitoring. So what that allows us is us to be responsive and open to emerging opportunities. So we are most well known for our community touring, and you can see here a table of our numbers. So box office income has increased in East Devon, only slightly, but it has increased. And while audience behaviour is changing across the industry, for example, people are not committing to purchasing tickets really until the week of performances. It's a trend that's happening across the industry. And we know that that makes things a little scary for our volunteer promoters. So it's reassuring for us to see that our earned income figures aren't decreasing. We have supported them in terms of our time from the team and financial support from Villages in Action. I'm going to just show some examples here of some of the...
Mark, could I jump in? Could you just expand your screen out? Is that possible? Sorry to be very rude.
No, not at all.
That's okay, because I think it's a few comments. Perfect. Lovely, thank you.
Is that better? Bear with me.
Yeah, if you just go to slideshow from beginning, and then that just reduces your notes.
I can try that. I would like to see my notes as well. Is the only problem I'm having with that.
No, that's a vast improvement. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant, excellent. Sorry about that. Let me just click through back to where we were. I'm going to do a bit of swapping and changing, so please bear with me while I just go across my notes as well. Okay, so you can see here some examples of the high quality touring artists that we've had, both regionally, both regional and national artists. Here we are, just click through so you can see some of those. Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra in Ottery St Mary. This was our From Devon with Love Festival, which had a dance focus. So this is about supporting emerging artists to share their work and create new platforms and new audiences for that work that is being created. And you can see Moomin Valley, a beautiful family puppetry show on the left-hand side that was performed in the Young Hay Centre in Cranbrook.
I'm going to jump, sorry, Mike, just jumping in. I'm the nuisance one. Can you just click on your slides on that left-hand screen so we can all see the images? Because at the moment, your slide deck's not going through from the community touring slide that we've got. Perfect.
I'm not sure what's happening, sorry.
That's all right.
Is that working? Can you see that
Yeah,
now?
we're on From Devon with Love Dance Stockholm Victory Hall slide.
Right,
something's which is number 6.
That's not catching up, is it? And you can't see the Moomin Valley one?
No, those I think those were the 2 before the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra.
Okay. I think what I'm going to need to do is send you this presentation. I'm really sorry. I'm not sure why Zoom isn't happy with me today. But I will send these through. But I think the thing to say about these images is a range of work for all ages across a number of different community spaces. I'm going to read, because I'm not sure that it's keeping up. So I'm going to read out some of the feedback that we've had from our East Devon audiences. Great evenings entertainment, which surpassed our expectations. I always think it's unique to rural touring that we get to meet the artists and the team. It was extraordinary on every level. Phenomenal performances, hilarious, entertaining, and deeply meaningful. We really enjoyed the show and thought it was of a great standard, as good as anything we've seen at the theatre. And that's what we believe at Villages in Action, that everybody has access to high quality arts. I think I'm going to stop my presentation because I think it's possibly slightly distracting. So apologies, everyone. I'm not quite sure what was happening there. But I will just tell you a little bit more about a couple of the other projects that we've been working on. So I mentioned Zest, our active arts partnership. That's with Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, Wellmore, and independent dance practitioner Claire Parker. We've been monitoring participants and audience responses in care homes through an impact measurement framework as detailed in the annual report. And the data showed improved physical, mental and social benefits from sustained engagements with our online arts platform, with the majority of staff and residents in care homes recording an increase in positive change in their mood, physical function and the mobility of residents. This is about access to the arts for all, including those marginalised within care home settings. It's worth noting that the majority of our audience and participants had dementia, so we are developing a particular specialism of creating digital content that was bespoke for this audience. We've been able to offer new job opportunities in the cultural and creative industries through our digital developments. This is a key driver of our work. Alongside employing over 74 performance artists over the last 12 months, we've worked with creative specialists to deliver a series of participatory and community-based workshops. Specifically in East Devon, we have given paid engagement beyond our performing artists who perform as part of our community touring programme to 9 creative facilitators and producers. I'm just going to go very quickly back to the slideshow. Let's see if this is going to work a little bit better, just to show you some of the upcoming performances that we have over the next period of time. And I'm sorry if it's not big enough, but hopefully you'll be able to see enough of what's happening. So this is a project, it's called Blind Spot, and we are delivering this in partnership with All Right Mate CIC. It's a project that has been designed to get men talking about their mental health. So through a series of engagement workshops, so you can see the images, the 2 profile images here. These are participants who took part in the creative workshops in East Devon, and through a wet plate photography system. I must say I'm not an expert in this, but an old-fashioned form of kind of photo developing. We're able, because it's a slow process, Callie Hayes, who leads on this project, is able to have conversations with men about what is going on in their lives and perhaps things that they're struggling with and so on. As a result of those conversations, the company then made a performance that has been touring around Devon. You've got a couple more chances to see it in East Devon, but spaces are really limited. But it's coming up in Axminster and in Orliscombe. If you have a look on our What's On, you can find out more details about it there. We have Love Riot by Miracle Theatre coming to Goran Farm on the 28th of June. Again, some fun for all the family. Not only do we do things obviously in village halls, but we do things on the seafronts, in the fields, all over. We have the Goat Show, which is a family show, and a range of goatee activities. You might remember that we premiered this in Stockland with Wendy van der Plank, our promoter there, just over a year ago. So it's brilliant to see that the company have been able to tour the work again, and that we'll be receiving it in East Devon again. And then finally, as part of the Xmas Festival, so working with Jess, who I believe is in the call, to present a circus show called Those in Glass Houses, open access for all, and really high quality, lovely circus work. So apologies everybody for the problems with the slideshow, but I hope Alicia will be able to share that around with you all. But hopefully it gives you a good flavour of what we're up to, what we're doing. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank EDDC for continuing to support the arts, given the really difficult moments that the sector is undergoing. It really is very forward thinking, and we're very fortunate to receive that ongoing support. Thanks very much.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for those kind words. That was a fascinating presentation, some really enthusiastic work going on there. I'm very pleased to see that someone is still taking photographs that aren't digital, because I think there's a very definite art form there. But anyway, so let's see if we have any questions from people outside the committee. I can't see anybody. Welcome, Councillor Olive, at last. So, so we'll go then to Councillor Buchan. Colin, please.
Hi there, Mayor.
Hi.
I did look through some of the figures, and about 60% of the audience were above the age of 35. Do you sort of look and mind down into these figures and think, well, shall we tailor our? Because you might think what people want. When you actually look at your audience, do you think, well, for the next year, we might do things which might get these people, because they're probably more available, more solvent, and more motivated. So you might, if you target things more, or do you not? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so we historically, so Villages in Action has been in existence for over 30 years, and historically we've always served the kind of the older end of the communities. So, you know, and that continues to be true for us, that those who attend our kind of more traditional performances in village halls does still tend to be the over 50s, over 60s. However, we set out 3 years ago with our new model to really start serving much more of the community and more members of that community. So the outreach work that we're doing in terms of putting shows in different kinds of locations, doing more of our outreach participatory work, is also about creating the audiences of the future, because that is a concern that I think exists across the industry. You know, we do need to be bringing up those younger audiences, that they need to, you know, understand the value of arts and culture to their communities, you know, and who are going to be our volunteers of the future. So we're actually spending quite a bit of time focusing on, you know, and in rural locations, you don't just have one kind of person, you know, so we're really trying to offer a kind of wide range of activities. And it's not just about the finances, you know, we're a charity, and part of our aims, we receive funding from Arts Council England, you know, and that's, I think, the way that we're working, trying to serve more of that community is why we've been successful with that particular pot of funding from the Arts Council. So I hope that helps to answer your question. We're trying to do something for everyone, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So now moving on to Councillor Fernley. Paula.
It's great to celebrate the positives, absolutely. How do you decide where you're working? I mean, I'm over in Tithe Barn, I represent Broadclyst. I'm not sure we have anything going on in our direction. Is it because it's not wanted from us, or is it just because you can't spread yourself too thinly? Just curious to know how your resources get spread.
Sure. So it's self-selecting. So because we rely on volunteers working in those communities, it has to really often come from, you know, from those communities themselves to kind of identify that there's a group of people here. We're really, you know, it's not one, it used to be kind of individuals, but things are changing, you know, and we know, again, historically, it used to be village hall committees who would engage with us. But that's really changing because of the financial picture, you know. Yes, our events can help with fundraising, and certainly in terms of things like, you know, having a bar or raffles, and we still do that, but obviously artist costs are increasing too, and we really believe in paying artists fairly. So it perhaps isn't the kind of fundraising, you know, opportunity for those communities in the same way that it used to be. So it really requires a kind of team of people to make it work. So I would be delighted to come and do more over in Broadclyst. An introduction, often we'll get introduced by someone who's heard about the work that we've done, put us in touch. So if you're able to do some of that, or, you know, if it's with you directly, I would love to have a conversation and see what's possible.
Okay, I'll have a chat around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Paula. That's great. Charlie, please.
Thanks, Chair. I was just going to come back on Paula's point, because I live in a community where we have a very active volunteer who's brilliant at bringing the community together to put on activities delivered by Villages in Action. So my top tip would be, if you can find someone within your community who's willing to take on that mantle of responsibility, then that really gives you a head start, and then can be the link, you know, with Villages in Action. And then from there, you know, you can scale up, you know, with the programs of activity, etc. So it's just finding that individual who can just sort of spark the curiosity and the enthusiasm within your community.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much for your presentation, Mayor. Please do send it on to Althea so that we can pass it on. There's no recommendation, so we'll note that report. Thank you so much. That was a fascinating presentation. So we'll now move on to agenda item 8, the Arts and Culture East Devon Arts Council bid, and we're going to receive a report from our cultural producer, Sarah El-Gadi. Sarah.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'll try and share my screen. I've got some nice photos of the ACE network meeting that we had yesterday. So bear with me one moment. When you see that screen?
We can.
And is it full size?
Pretty much.
Is that better?
Amazing.
Lovely. So yesterday we had our ACE network meeting at Seaton Gateway Theatre, and we had a really good turnout of around 34 people attended, and it was co-chaired by one of our ACE champions, David Knox. Here's a photo of our ACE champions, just to remind you all. As you can see, there's Joe, who gave the presentation just now, our museums champion. We also, from left to right, we have our climate change champion, our media and film champion, our creative education champion, music champion, theatre champion, and our craft champion, who is Gemma, who is also on this call and will be giving an update shortly about Thelma Holbert Gallery, as she's also the manager there. So we heard from lots of different speakers, and it's including our climate change ACE champion, who spoke about a project that she had successfully delivered that was funded through the Creative East Devon Fund. We also heard from Victoria Grimberg from East Devon VCSE about the services they offer, and for example, how to formalise a group into a CIC or a charity, and the volunteering support that they give. We also heard from some of my colleagues in the economic development team. Jerry Pantiva spoke about the cultural tourism work that she's doing, and she'll be joining this meeting shortly to give an update on one of our projects, the cultural tourism map. And Zoe Smith, the economics development assistant, spoke about our new carbon action programme, which community organisations can apply to. You may remember that last year we ran a similar scheme called the Culture, Leisure and Tourism Fund. So this is the new scheme that's been updated, where organisations can apply for equipment that helps decarbonise their buildings. So last year, Axminster Guildhall were in receipt of funding for solar panels. We also had the Beehive, Seaton Gateway and Fairlynch Museum in Budley were given grants for LED lights. So the fund will open again in autumn, and this time, based on feedback from last year, we'll be also offering a range of other support services, including free energy audits to make sure that people are applying for the right type of equipment to be most energy efficient. And probably the most significant part of the meeting yesterday was that we, Councillor Hookway presented the inaugural ACE Volunteer of the Year Award. So we were delighted to award this to Colin Trussell, who has been volunteering with Sidmouth Folk Festival for over 30 years. It really was astonishing, the nominations that we received, and the panel that decided was the ACE champions. And we had a really amazing range of nominations, including Wendy Vanderplank, who was mentioned, who's so involved with Villages in Action and so on. So it was a difficult decision, but it was really delighted to be able to recognise volunteers in this way, because they really are the glue that hold these types of festivals and events across East Devon together, and we couldn't be delivering them without the support of volunteers. So the plan is for that to become an annual award that anyone can submit nominations to celebrate their achievements. So just to give you a little brief update on other projects that we've been delivering since the last forum meeting, we've launched the ACE mentoring scheme. That's where we pair a young person aged 18 to 30 with one of our experienced ACE network members who has had training in becoming a mentor. So we have 10 mentors currently signed up. We're in a pilot phase at the moment. So we've got 2 young mentees paired up for a 6-month period where they meet with a mentor once a month for an hour or so. And that's a route to sort of getting into the industry, which can be quite challenging. We've also continued to deliver free training opportunities through funding from the Shared Prosperity Fund. So as Joe Cairns mentioned, we've been delivering lots of training that's been specific to East Devon museums. We've also delivered training in bid writing, public speaking, producing live events, and last week, as part of Volunteer Week, we delivered some volunteer recruitment and retention training in collaboration with East Devon VCSE. The next training opportunity we have is Equality, Diversity and Inclusion training coordinated by Thelma Holbert Gallery, and spaces are free for ACE members. I'm really pleased to share that we now have 174 ACE members listed on our website in our directory. Last time I gave an update in November, we had 113 members. So this represents a 54% increase in membership levels. And I think this increase is due to general awareness of the ACE network, word of mouth, and also the fact that to be eligible to apply to the Creative East Devon Fund, you do need to be a member of ACE. Which brings me on to the Creative East Devon Fund. We opened round 2 in April. As usual, it was oversubscribed. We had lots of applicants, I think 17 applicants in total for this round. And the panel met last week, and I'm pleased that we'll be able to award 10 successful projects funding this year. The fund is still open, and the panel will next meet in November. So do continue to spread awareness about that fund. Creative projects can apply for up to £3,000, and it's certainly catching on that there is a need for this kind of funding, because Teignbridge have recently announced a similar scheme, Teignbridge Council, and that's also through the Shared Prosperity Fund. So it's becoming more of a common offer through councils, which is great to see. Finally, Theme 2 of the cultural strategy is around protecting and enhancing the natural environment. So I've been working on a couple of projects around this, one of which is linked to 2.2, improving the environmental practices of the district's festivals to establish us as leaders in sustainable event management. I've been working closely with Exmouth Festival with their event coordinator and their climate change officer on how we can calculate the carbon footprint of their festival. And to do this, we worked with a company called SWEG, Southwest Energy and Environmental Group, based at the University of Exeter, who did an audit and have made recommendations on how we can decrease the carbon footprint. And we're really looking forward to sharing the learnings from that once the festival has taken place, because we think it's going to be a really useful blueprint for other event organisers across East Devon to similarly take small steps and actions towards lowering the carbon footprints of these types of events. So more news on that hopefully at the next forum meeting. And finally, in terms of the report that was submitted in reference to the Arts Council bid, I would like to submit an Arts Council bid in reference to theme 2.12 in the cultural strategy, which is about working with local museums and South West Museums Development to engage in national conversations about the climate crisis and enable displays of natural science and biodiversity collections in East Devon museums. So I've had a few initial conversations with some coastal museums to begin with. It might be a phased project, and there's definitely a need there. Joe Cairns is willing to support this application. Jurassic Coast Trust are also keen to be a partner, as well as the National Landscapes East Devon. So it feels like there's definitely the support system there to put in a good bid for funding of around £30,000. But as Maya mentioned, funding to the Arts Council continues to be extremely competitive. I think the last statistic I heard was about 1 in 10 applications tend to be successful. So we'll cross our fingers, but it might be a long game, which is why we're putting in several Arts Council bids, and Gemma will be updating you on the bid that she's going to put in this summer for Thelma Holbert Gallery shortly. But I think that summarises what we've been up to, and I'd welcome any questions. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Sarah. Just before we go to questions, I'd just like to echo what you were saying on 2 points. Firstly, in terms of the volunteer awards, it was extraordinary, the commitment that volunteers across East Devon have made towards the cultural landscape of East Devon. Quite extraordinary. And Colin Trussell was a very worthy winner. And for 30 years, he's worked for the Sidmouth Fund. So it's absolutely extraordinary. And the second point is about the Creative East Devon Fund. Again, we have some really innovative and inspiring projects. We couldn't fund them all. So we're always on the lookout for more money. So I shall point that out to various other officers later on. Okay, so do we have any questions then from members outside? Okay, the only person, or the first one is Councillor Barlow. Ian, we can only, oh, there we go. Can I see your face? No? Okay, right, over to you then.
No, no, it doesn't work, sorry. Right, I've been asked a question by, the Coastal Community Hub down in Sidmouth has very luckily got £100,000 from Art England to do various projects. They have to raise money themselves, obviously, to match fund this, and they are short on a couple. So I don't know, they'll obviously apply to your normal grants, but I don't know if there's any more we can do for that. But more importantly, they're also trying to open up a new space, and they are in need of data about the need for arts and culture spaces to support access to creativity and well-being to go with their funding application for the macerator shed that we're trying to convert. And I just wondered if there is anything that we can do as AIST to supply that information. Obviously, you have officers, etc. You know, they don't. And I just wondered if there was anything we could do with that.
Okay, thank you for your question. Sarah, do you have a response?
Yes, thank you. So in terms of your first question with Sidmouth Coastal Hub, I think they were in receipt of Creative East Devon funding in the last round for their, there were 2 projects. I think it was the Sidmouth mural that they were in receipt of funding for. So of course they're welcome to apply again, though you do need to take into account the timelines as the panel have just met. The next panel meeting will be in November for decisions in December. In terms of the statistics on creative well-being, it's a really good question, and it's absolutely something that we know that would enhance funding applications. It's not something that we currently have, but it's definitely something that we're keen to understand how we can get that data and use it to the best of its advantage. So it's one of a really useful network I'm part of is the Southwest Culture Network, with different councils across the Southwest, with people who are in similar officer roles to me. And that's certainly a question that I can put to that network to see how we can be capturing that data.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Ian. Okay, so I think Councillor Buchan was next. Yes, Councillor Buchan. Colin, please.
Thank you. Hi, Sarah. Regarding the application 2 for the bid, 2.1.2, it says about engaging in national conversations about the climate crisis. I didn't quite get that. Could you just explain that for me a little bit better, please?
Yes, so it's quite vague at the moment because that's what's in the strategy. So it's for us to kind of unpick it. My understanding from it is that by enhancing the collections that relate to climate change, whether it's to do with coastal erosion, or the sort of the geology and archaeology of those places, if we can enhance those collections and tell a story around what's going on with climate change, that then encourages engagement in national conversations around climate change. I've had a few conversations with Jo Cans around how we might approach this. I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add to that, Jo.
I think you've covered it really well, Sarah. Yeah, I think it was just that sometimes museums can really use their collections to talk about climate change. So, for example, if you have insect collections or geological collections that were collected in the past that now, for example, insect collections, we've done projects with the museums across the Southwest where we can look at those items, those insects, and understand what's being found in local habitats now and see what's been lost, really. So it sort of enhances that conversation about climate change. But there's all sorts of different ways that you can use those collections to talk about those national conversations. So I think that's what the kind of gist of the cultural strategy was aiming for.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Colin. Charlie, please.
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted, because Sarah's way too modest, I just wanted to highlight that we don't always shout about our successes as an organisation. I just wanted to highlight how our culture strategy, which is now only just about 2 years old, is beginning to lead some really interesting thinking within the county, and we're actually leading the way. And I just want to highlight 2 specific areas. The first one that Sarah touched on around greening our festivals. We do know that's generating a lot of interest with other local authorities in the county, in particular Plymouth City Council have been in touch, very keen to talk to us about how that's unfolding and wanting to talk to us about how transferable it is into their own organisation. So I think huge pat on the back there for the work obviously Sarah's been doing, but also within Exmouth Town Council, and obviously working with Caitlin in events as well. So a really good bit of joined up working there, and we should shout out about those successes. And secondly, the Creative East Devon Fund has been brilliant. Just shows how a small amount of money in terms of the leverage that it can generate in terms of getting activity on a multiplier effect, on quite a considerable scale. And again, I think, Team Ridge have sort of looked at, what we've been doing, and obviously they've scaled up quite considerably, but we've been leading the way, with how we can actually get funding into grassroots organisations. So it's not just on us as a local authority to be leading the way and funding everything. Actually, there's a lot of enthusiasm and expertise and knowledge within our communities. And with a little bit of seed funding, it goes a huge way. So I just wanted to highlight those 2 things. I think organisationally, sometimes we can be a bit modest, but sometimes we've got to shout about it and pat ourselves on the back. So I just want to say a big thank you to Sarah, for really, sort of pioneering and leading that work. And there's plenty more in the pipeline as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for saying that. Under Purdah, I don't think I could, but thank you. Okay, all right. So, but I absolutely agree with you. Now, I think that's it. Okay, so no more questions. That was a lovely report. Thank you very much, indeed, Sarah. Very inspiring. Much to look forward to. So we'll note that, and we'll move on now to agenda item 9. The Thelma Hulbert Gallery Update and Arts Council bid, and we're going to receive an update from Gemma Girvan, the EDDC Gallery Manager and Curator. Gemma.
Thank you, Nick. Alethea, can I share my screen? Is that possible?
I've just made you co-host, so you should be able to now.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, hopefully we can see that.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So yeah, hi, I'm Gemma. I'm the gallery manager and curator at the Thelma Holbert Gallery. When we last spoke, I'd literally just taken over the role. So I'm now just over 6 months in, really enjoying the new role, and currently looking at the programme for 2025. So I look forward to sharing that with you when we next meet. So in November, I gave quite a detailed introduction to the programme for 2024. So I was just going to give you a brief summary of how it's going so far, and some other highlights of what's going on at the gallery. So just to say that we're really pleased with the end of the financial year. Takings pretty much in line with previous years, so last year's takings and pre-pandemic figures. So we're pleased with how things are going so far. When we last spoke, literally Present Makers had just started. So we were showcasing approximately 60 new and established artists, including members from the Contemporary Glass Society. So we had a record-breaking year for Present Makers, taking over £14,000. So yeah, we're really pleased with how that's gone. Really learning from the, as I spoke about before, having a variety of price points. So something for a stocking filler up to something that's a good few £100s. So that's really working, and we'll definitely repeat that this year. 2024 kicked off with our Mikhail Karakas exhibition. So Mikhail's work's really focusing on the climate emergency. So we had the next in our programme of climate conversations, and so Mikhail spoke with Catherine Causley and curator from Royal Albert Memorial Museum, which is really hard to say, Lara Goodband. So that was a really great private view, so launch day event, which was attended by other curators and supporters and artists. And also that exhibition showcased work from Honiton Community College pupils as part of our COS project. So they had their own gallery space showcasing that work. So that worked really well. Next came our Southwest Academy exhibition, which was opened by newly appointed President John Nettles. And we welcomed over 100 artists and supporters to that opening, including a lot of councillors, which was great to have the support there. We would have liked to have sold more artworks during this exhibition. So we need to look at what happened there, but we did sell prints and cards alongside, so that side of things went well. So we've just opened our THG Open Winners exhibition. So that's the winners from our Open last year. So we had an overall winner who is Sharon James, who is a Black and Gay artist who paints these stunning huge canvases documenting her children's lives. So if you do have an opportunity to see the exhibition, it is really impactful and really shows the chaos of what that children can bring to our lives. So yeah, it's really worth seeing. And then we have our best emerging artist, who is Kyle James, who's a local photographer, and he captures so the Northern Lights activity that happened a couple of weeks ago. He captured that in amazing photographs. So we have those new works as part of the exhibition. So again, if you can come and see that exhibition, it would be great to see. Is there anything else? Oh yes, we've had great press coverage for these exhibitions. So Midweek Herald, Exeter Living, Evolver, and Devon Life. So yeah, really pleased with how these are being received. I wanted to also let you know about a really special event that we had at the gallery in April. It was a performance called Gluck's Flowers. Theatre company Theatre West, who are based in Bristol, they had Arts Council funding to show this performance in gallery spaces. So it was performed in Hestercombe for 2 nights, then came to us, and then went on to the Holborn Museum in Bath. It was really special that the gallery was turned into a theatre for 2 days, And the story is about Gluck, who was an artist who was non-binary, and it's a story of their relationship with Constance Spry. So it's a story that's not been told before. Our gallery space was quite unique compared to the other galleries that were shown at. So it was very much rehearsed in a space which would suit our gallery. So it really was a special performance here. And the fact that the gallery, the main gallery, was Thelma Holbert's studio space really made it a really fitting performance to be in the gallery space. Sorry, it's really hard to explain. It was a special occurrence that happened here. So I really wanted to highlight that to you, and the fact that it's not just exhibitions we're showing here. There are other performances that we can show, and we really want to explore that for future. And it welcomed other audiences as well. So other things to let you know about. Myself and Sarah Argadi are part of a project called Together We Will. This comes from a best practice EDI document that was created by Visual Arts South West. So the hope was that for 9 venues, they would receive funding for 9 venues to use the document for best practice, and then share on that those learnings to other venues. Unfortunately, they didn't get the funding, but all the venues have agreed to still meet together to share best practice. So some of the other venues included are the Box in Plymouth, Harbour House at Kingsbridge, East Key Arts and B-Side Festival. And also Plymouth Culture sharing documents with us. So I think that's really a great thing for us to be part of, and we're going to carry on meeting every 6 months. Also to mention, our engagement programme is going from strength to strength. At the beginning of the year, we ran workshops with jewellery making and print painting workshops, and all that sold out. And then we also had our annual artist talk with John Francis, and again, those were the best attended that we've had so far. So we've had learnings from those. That definitely the beginning of the year is really the time to push these workshops and talks. So we'll be repeating that for next year. Our COS project, which is our current Arts Council funded project, which is encouraging young people to engage with the gallery, is coming now to an end. So Anna is delivering the last round of workshops to 5 local primary schools, and also a workshop with artist Alistair Lambert to Honiton Community College. So we're absolutely thrilled with how that COS project has gone. We are going to be doing an evaluation at the end of July, so we'll share that with you at the next meeting. As part of that funding, Anna Arusi, who's our engagement officer, Kira, who is our intern, and one of our volunteers, took part in carbon literacy training, and they have trained to be trainers. So they have now delivered that carbon literacy training to the team here and some volunteers. So we're thrilled that they've become fully fledged facilitators. So we're hoping to roll out that training to other groups, including the ACE network. So it was a real undertaking for them. So yeah, we're really thrilled to have that as something we can deliver in the future. The Creative Cabin is out and about over the summer festival, at festivals. So including Xmas Festival, Wimpole, the Tenants Festival in Sidmouth, and then Seaton Community Hub, which it is a special summer event that Thelma Holbert Gallery and World East Devon are part of. So as Sarah mentioned, we are looking at our next Arts Council bid. So we're working with Emma Maloney, who used to be a fundraising officer for Thelma Holbert Gallery, but is now a freelancer. But she knows the gallery well. So we're looking to carry on some of those successes from the Create Our Space project. So looking with building those relationships with young people, the Young Persons Network, and also continuing our focus on the climate and EDI. So we're going for Arts Council funding, just under 30,000. As Sarah mentioned, it is a competitive thing at the moment to go for funding. Like she said, there's 1 in 10 that's successful. So we have just heard about another opportunity with Art Fund, and they have a different focus for each year. And this year's focus is museums and galleries that are run by local authority. So that's literally, we went to a meeting last week about that. So we are also going to apply for that funding in the hope that at least one or other will come off. So yeah, we'll keep you posted with how things go. So I'll stop sharing my screen and take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Gemma. That was absolutely lovely. I really enjoyed those 2 exhibitions, I have to say. That was a really, they were really special events for me. Okay, right. So I see we have one hand raised. So Councillor Buchan, Colin, please.
Hello there, Gemma. When you say you're exploring a more portable creative cabin, is that a new one or just a rejig of the existing one?
So the creative cabin is fantastic and is a great addition to how we can take the gallery out and about. It just logistically it can be difficult with getting a truck and the actual practicalities of taking the cabin out and about. So we're hoping to create a creative cabinet, so something that's a little bit more portable, but will still have that intrigue. So something that can go in the boot of a car, but then taken out and maybe pull out the drawers and take things out. So it still has that sort of curiosity and intrigue, but yeah, just a little bit more portable and a little bit more green as well. So yeah, better for the environment.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Right, yes. Okay, right, thank you. I don't see any more questions, so thank you so much for the report, Gemma. We'll note that. And
there is actually one, Chair. There's one from Paula. Yeah.
I do beg your pardon. It's
there
your.
You go. You're going to be eagle-eyed. You see, it's a different kind of.
No, it's the background. It's Paula's background's too light. I couldn't say. Okay,
oh, sorry about that. Yeah, great to see what's going on. Lovely to see that carbon literature training is being spread out everywhere, because obviously it's something that's really important at the moment. Are you getting much take up and interest in this area? Is it something that people feel they need, or is it something that going, oh yes, that's great. Oh, you're doing it, so okay, maybe we should think about doing it?
It's very early days, to be honest. So the team who train to be facilitators have just rolled it out to the Thelma Holbert Gallery team and some of the volunteers, and we will roll that out to other volunteers. I think we would like to deliver it as part of the Create Our Space project as well, or the future funding that we're going for. So we haven't really pushed to ask more openly who would like to take us up on the training, but I do think there, like you say, I think it's at the forefront of everybody's minds at the moment, isn't it? So I think there will be that interest in, and people will want to take us up on it. It's just it's a part of Anna's role, so we'll be very specific to who we deliver it to. Sorry, I hope that answers that question.
Right, thank you, Gemma. I'll add, if I may, the answer to that before I call in Councillor Barlow. Yesterday's ASED network meeting at the Gateway Theatre and Seaton, where we had a number of presentations, virtually all the questions that came from the floor had some connection with net zero. And it's very interesting to see how the creative community has taken and is embracing the net zero message in a much more positive way than perhaps not in other sectors. So that was really quite noticeable yesterday. These questions were very focused on net zero. Okay, and hopefully perhaps that may be of interest to you, Councillor Foley. Right, okay. Right, so Councillor Barlow, please, yes.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question on the grants that you apply for. How many times have we applied before? Have we failed many times before? Have we been successful many times before? And is it done by the same people all the time, i.e. filling out the forms, etc.? Because I know they're quite long, laborious, but the way you fill them, I think there is an art, dare I say the pun, but an art to the way you fill them out.
I don't remember exactly how many funding because we've gone for before, probably in my time, maybe 3 or 4. I know we have been unsuccessful at one stage, but I believe we resubmitted and then were successful. In my time, I've been at the gallery for 10 years, and they have been filled out by the same person, which is Emma Maloney, who I mentioned. Emma, as I say, used to work for the gallery and now freelances, and she works with a lot of organisations such as Double Elephant in Exeter. She works with the National Landscapes, and also I tried to think who else she works with a lot of other organisations, and has a lot of experience in fund applications. So yes, she's her success rate is good. So yeah, we're really pleased to have her on board.
Do you think we should possibly use other people as well, just to check it, perhaps? I don't want to make it complicated, but again, by casting another eye and a different vision across it, I know that the people in Sidmouth, again, they're not paid, but they are paid now because they've got a grant. But again, they have been successful, in the past.
Okay, is there somebody that you could recommend to look it over?
Well, certainly Louise Cole, who works with the Coastal Community Hub, got the £100,000 grant from Art England year and a bit ago to do 8 projects in Sidmouth. She's done it several times now with different things, done one and then had to reapply, like you say, but was eventually successful.
Yeah, well, that would be great to have, like you say, someone else to cast an eye over, especially with how competitive it is at the moment. So yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Cheers. Yes, Charlie, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Well, just actually following on a little bit from what Ian's just touched on, I think Gemma's stat there, 1 in 10, now are only successful, they're applying to Arts Council funding. I think that gives you a sense of how hugely competitive it is. And I think we've recognised that internally. This discussion actually we've been having, as officers about, what are the other channels that we need to explore to look to generate income and bring in funding, just because it is becoming so competitive, around the sort of traditional sources of funding. And, I think for us over the next 6 to 12 months, that's going to be a sort of key feature of our work within our sort of delivering of our culture strategy and supporting our, sort of cultural buildings, that we need to be exploring lots of different avenues, partners. So interesting, Ian, about what you've just suggested there with Louise Cole, and we're always wanting to learn, from best practice. Partnering up as well. So all these sorts of things are coming more and more into the mix, and it's not unique to East Devon District Council. I'm sure every authority. You just need to look across the border in Somerset. With the challenges they've got to sort of keep their sort of cultural programs sort of going against very tight sort of budget challenges. So for us, we're acutely aware of what's going on. I'm really pleased that discussions I've been having with Gemma, and also with Sarah, and also with Tracy recently as well, coming in as our new CEO. That's a priority for us to look at, and we're up for the challenge. You just got to keep submitting. It's relentless, and sooner or later you will hit the jackpot. But challenging times ahead.
Okay,
also, on that note to mention, Charlie, we've also been talking to National Landscapes, and they're looking with their funding bids and how we can work together with other partners. So there's lots of areas being explored at the moment. So not just all eggs in one basket.
Okay, that's great news. Thank you. Okay, I'll say no more about that. So thank you so much indeed, Gemma. We'll note your report, and we'll now move on to agenda item 10, the cultural tourism update from our Senior Economic Development Officer, Jerry Pantiva. Jerry, welcome.
Thank you very much, Nick, and good to see you all. For those of you who don't know me, I work in the economic development team. I'm the senior economic development officer, and I lead on the delivery of our tourism strategy. I'll just give you a bit of background just to see where the cultural tourism bit sits within the wider tourism context. So at the end of 2022, we adopted a tourism strategy for East Devon. Its vision is to for East Devon to become the leading all year long tourism destination in Devon, focusing on some of our key assets and advantages like our natural diversity, the quality of the offer that we have here. And we also want to nurture a net zero journey to encourage more businesses to go on that journey, and also to make more businesses accessible, so visitors of any ability can enjoy the excellent offer that we have here in East Devon. Very strong focus is also on the cultural offer. It's something we realized we need to put a bit more effort into developing. That's why we work very closely with Sarah. We have monthly meetings. We attend each other's events that we set up. And now we're working on a joint cultural tourism project that I'll give you a brief update. But besides the other work we do alongside the objectives of the strategy, we set up an East Devon Tourism Network, which has been going on for about a year and a half now. We set up quarterly meetings. Our partner delivering this side of the project is East Devon Excellence. They were appointed through a competitive procurement bid. We now have established a really good, solid network with the members that attend all of the events. They take place in different venues within East Devon. They showcase different aspects of our tourism offer. We invite really good quality speakers. We share experiences. We highlight some of our top businesses. The whole idea being of nurturing that collaboration, creativity, exchanging ideas, and bringing people up to speed, the ones that need a bit more support. So it's been going really well. And one of the aspects we are supporting the cultural tourism and the cultural strategy delivery is through engaging a bit more on that side. For example, our meeting in November on the East Devon Tourism Network would focus on festivals and events as a way to attract visitors, to promote your offer, to extend the tourism season. So that would be quite a nice event, and we'll invite you all if you're interested to attend that event later in the year. The current main project where we're focusing our efforts to nurture and promote cultural tourism is a cultural tourism map. So the idea is that we will have create that asset. Basically, that's a product development project where we will highlight all of our key assets, all of our galleries, museums, places where visitors can experience a high quality cultural activity, and then it will be depicted both on a map that will be in a printed format, which we work with the graphic designer. It will look like really pretty with all of our key assets, but also it will have an online version, which will be an interactive map where people would be able to build their own itineraries. They would be able to see how they can incorporate different activities within a day or two, depending on how long their stay is. They can filter through different interests or activities they want to do, and it will be a resource that we can build on. But initially, we have a project that will probably depict around 50 to 60 of these assets, and as new ones appear, obviously we'll be able to add this to the map. But we think it would be a great resource to create a bit of promotion, to encourage people to come and see East Devon, particularly for its cultural offer, but also it will be for those visitors that are already here, not just to head to our lovely beaches or beautiful nature walks, but just to experience some culture as well. We have some budget dedicated to doing a bit of social media promotion. We are looking at making it a bit more engaging and interesting by doing like some sort of a passport where people would stamp their passport for every asset or place of interest that they visit on the trail, and then they can receive, after visiting, let's say 10 of them, they'll receive a nice merchandise, let's say a tote bag or something more exciting, and we'll do like some competitions. Yeah, it's we're very, very excited about this project. We are at the very early stage of it. We've just appointed a graphic designer to work on the map. It will be based on an existing map that our partners East Devon Excellence have in place, because again, we want to avoid duplication or reinventing the wheel or starting from scratch. So any resource that already exists, we want to enhance it and refer to that particular resource, so we can maximize visits to that website. But yeah, it promises to be a really engaging project. Idea is to launch it in September at the end of our active summer season, because one of the main purposes is to encourage visits outside of the peak season, so September till April, May, and we will need to finalize it by the end of this financial year, which is obviously March 2025. Yeah, if anyone has any ideas, we would love to make it as interesting, as engaging as possible. There is a lot of knowledge and expertise and passion in this group, I'm sure. So Sarah and I welcome any kind of contributions, and if anyone wants to know a bit more or be sent more information about the project, very happy to do so. We are at the stage where we are inviting organizations, places of interest, to submit their details via web form direct to the software developers, so that can bring that all from the back office and start creating this map. But yeah, most of the work will be done in the next 2.5-3 months, with preliminary launch aimed at September. But we do have some flexibility if for some reason we need to launch it a bit later in the year. We can use like Christmas time as well, or one of the half terms. But yeah, we want to create a bit of excitement and focus on this opportunity. So this is the main project on the cultural tourism side, but there are other aspects. We are also contributing to the Screen Devon initiative, which I'm sure you've discussed at other events, and we'll be working more closely on this project from the tourism side of it. We also contribute and secure annual value of tourism data, because for everything, we need now to measure, to evaluate, to justify impact. So we do have that data sets that we receive every year, and we publish. Actually, it's in the public domain. But we are also now part of a wider project called the Southwest Visitor Economy Hub, which is like a massive data hub. It includes Devon and Somerset, and we are one of the beneficiaries. We are partners, so we'll be receiving a lot of data, for example, footfall to some of our towns and places of interest. Colleagues in other areas, like our parking manager, are providing car park data. So with all this data from attractions, from partners, from accommodation providers, goes into this massive database. So then it can be used really for planning ahead, for monitoring impact of events, festivals, any sorts of activities. So it would be a very valuable, useful resource that we will be part of. And lastly, some of you might be aware of a new organization that was set up for Devon. It's called the Local Visitor Economy Partnership. So it's going to be like this top-level umbrella organization, which will be linked to central government for any tourism activity. It would be a conduit of influence, of making sure that our voice is heard, making sure that any funding opportunities reach us. So finally, such an LVEP organization was created for Devon earlier this year, about a couple of months ago, and we've also been invited as East Devon District Council to sit on the table of the advisory board, which is fantastic. So we'll have that influence and that direct conduit of any opportunities and further development. So yeah, it's all quite exciting. A lot of work going behind the scenes. And all of you are welcome to attend any of our East Devon Tourism Network events or ACE events to just get a better understanding of the work we do and see some of the businesses we engage with. And of course, I can provide any other specific information if you are interested. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Jerry. That was absolutely fascinating. Right. Okay. So as far as I can see, we only have one hand raise. That's, oh no, we've got two. Oh, welcome, Councillor Rickson. So we'll start with Councillor Barlow. Ian, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, on this map that you're launching, are you working with the already up and running visitor websites that the towns were on, etc., the Visit Exmouth, Visit Sidmouth, etc., Visit Ottery, and are you going to be able to use that map? Are they going to be able to use that map, or is it just going to be a click link to go to another website?
Well, it will sit on East Devon Excellence website as our partner at the moment, and where the regional map was created. But originally, we wanted it to be created as what software developers call a widget. So basically, something that can easily be embedded in any other website. From the latest conversations I have with the web developers, it turns out to be quite a complex thing to do technologically, like to draw all this data to put it on a widget so everyone can easily embed. But again, we're looking, so we are very mindful. We would like any partner who is interested, who is supportive of this agenda, who is promoting East Devon, who is engaged with cultural activities in the area, to be able to use that map. So obviously it would be absolutely available to anyone, but how actually technologically it will sit, whether it will be embedded as some sort of a widget or like an image, because it will have a static map and then it will have the interactive map. So we're still going through the process of it, but in any way, everyone would be able to use it and refer to it, and in some way highlight it on their website. So, and obviously we'll be reaching out to all partners. Most of them are already aware of what we are doing, but once we've made some more progress, yeah, everyone would be informed and encouraged to promote and engage with it.
But that has been done already. So you've already spoken to the various visit, as I said, visit all the towns. They've all got websites. So you're starting for that, obviously, at the beginning, I presume.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have very close communication with all of our kind of visit type of organizations, and this new LWeb that I mentioned. I've actually, to come to do this project, we kind of sense checked it with partners in different organizations. They did find this to be kind of the missing link, something that we don't have currently as an asset, something that would be really beneficial. So the whole idea came out through a number of conversations and making sure that partners would be interested and engaged, and it would be a resource that they would be happy to engage with. So yes.
Excellent. I've got a meeting tonight, so I shall make sure that they are aware of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Right, so thank you very much indeed, Jerry. Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Councillor Rickson, Marianne.
Hi there. Sorry to be late joining the meeting. I was also going to mention about the Visit Sidmouth and other similar websites. It was Visit Sidmouth that started, and if you haven't seen it already, it's a really lovely website. It'd be, I think, a great opportunity if we could actually link up with them. But how is it going to link in perhaps wider to Visit Devon? Because this also might be an opportunity for us, because people may sort of have more than one base in Devon as a bit of a holiday. It might encourage them to come here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it would be key. So basically, that's why we something that we have as a commitment in our tourism strategy. We are basically an enabler for tourism in East Devon. We are not a promotional agent. We are not a DMO or destination management organization. We don't have capacity to act in that field. We are looking at it a bit more strategically, involving with all of other organizations, working obviously with government on different grant opportunities and so on. But because we don't have that facility, that's why we are not hosting it on our EDDC website, because people won't naturally come to our website to look for information what to do in an area, even though might consult it for aspects of their trip. So here our role, we're creating a product, we are creating a map. So nobody currently is doing that. None of these organizations, Visit Devon, Visit Sidmouth, Visit Exmouth, they don't have capacity, or they haven't been commissioned to deliver such a project. So we are delivering this, we are liaising with all the partners, we are putting it together, we are bringing a graphic designer, software developer. So we are creating quite a elaborate and hopefully a very good project. Once this asset is in place, it can be used by anyone. So actually we are doing something for all of these DMOs. We are creating a free product for them to use instead of them having to take the time, the resource to create. And the idea is that they are, instead of Visit Devon, Visit Sidmouth, Visit South Devon, all creating different products, and then it looks a bit cluttered, it looks a bit uncoordinated, it doesn't perhaps feature all of the assets we have in East Devon. So our role is to ensure that it is a project that is fair, that showcases the best of our offer, that gives a really positive picture of what we are doing culturally in East Devon, and then we offer this product to all of our promotional partners to further disseminate, engage, promote in the best way that they can.
Well, I think that's a brilliant project, and I look forward to seeing it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So thank you so much for your report, Jerry. That was great. Okay, we note that. And I see no further hands raised. So at that point, is that right? Yes, that's right. Yes, okay. So at that point, that now brings our meeting to an end. And I would like to thank everyone for taking part, including members of the public, for their attendance. Members, can I remind you, please, that until Democratic Services team confirm that the live streaming and recording has stopped, you can still be seen and heard, and any comments may be recorded.